everybody, and welcome back to the Rec Room podcast with Brian Rector. And today, it's the middle of May. We're getting ready to move out of East Lansing, Michigan, headed back towards the West Coast, at least for right now. But before we left, we had to get a show in. And this woman who's sitting here to my right, or maybe it'll be left over there, either way, is somebody who I have been watching from afar through LinkedIn, through Instagram, through these different vessels, and seeing the way that she's changing the landscape and working through things such as the NIL space, content creation, all while being a current Division I athlete at Belmont University in Nashville, Tennessee. And I've been seeking out this interview for many months. And Sabrina, I am so thankful for you for giving me the time to interview you and talk through everything that you've been doing. How are you?
Hey, Ron. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me on the podcast. And secondly, I am doing incredible today.
Most certainly. Most certainly. Every day is a great day, right? I know we just had a major storm roll through in Michigan last night. I was worried a little bit that we might not have power. We might have to do an alternative filming setup, but we were able to get it back on at about 10 a.m. Here this morning. So again, thank you for being here. And I want to talk to you as we begin about the content creation space, and particularly, just as I was saying, like being adaptable, finding new ways to do things. One of the new things that I saw that you were a part of is Savannah Bananas Baseball. And I think that's a great place to start because they are doing something that's unlike anything that anyone has ever seen. And it's sort of redefining the fan experience. So as we get going here, Sabrina, like talk to me about what that experience was like and how you've been able to get involved in these sort of cutting edge experiences for the fan.
Yeah, of course. Recently, I worked with the Savannah Bananas, and that was a really cool experience. I worked from 8:30 a.m. to 10:30 p.m., which is a long shift, but well worth it. Because once I got there, I realized how insanely dedicated this fan base is to this new series of teams. And when I tell people, like, when the people ask me, what are the Savannah Bananas or who are they? I ask them, like, well, do you know who the Harlem Globetrotters are?
Mm.
If they know who they are, I'm like, well, for those of you who do know, they're like the entertainment of basketball. It's the same concept for baseball, where they make baseball fun, and that's the goal. For those who don't know who the Harlem Globetrotters are, essentially the goal of the Savannah Bananas is to make baseball fun to watch. Because recently, especially with the MLB, there's been a heavy decline of viewership because now people don't want to sit for 3-4 hours to watch a game that's very slow paced, or especially on TV when you could watch so many other things, and especially with attention span just shrinking, it's harder to keep that retention. And so what Savannah does differently is that they are able to capture attention in so many ways. This was actually my first game I got to work and I got to see in person,
Mm.
especially in a packed stand in Nashville, Tennessee at the Nissan Stadium that had 70,000 people there, sold out arena. I got to witness firsthand how high energy it was. They're very much about the fans. Seeing how a lot of the key differences were, first of all, they have music while they're at bat. Usually the music stops when you start playing, but the music kept switching every 5 to 7 seconds. So it kept going. They had tricks and stuff that you would never expect happening every so often. And it was very engaging, and it was cool to see both young fans that looked like a lot of young travel league players with their moms or parents, or even just older fans that just want to watch something fun. So the fact that they're able to just have a dedicated fan base that's very diverse as well, it's very interesting to watch.
Yeah, most certainly. And thank you, by the way, for expanding on what they're doing and a little bit more of the heart of it. I think so much of this new space and age that we're in with content is about the engagement, right? It's about how do you drive a reaction within a few seconds, within a short period of time. I would love to know because NIL and things of this nature only have been kind of going and taking off for the last 5, 6 years, somewhere in this vicinity. how did your journey in the space get started, and what has it been like to see it as it's continued to progress until now, where you're a part of something that fills up an entire stadium?
My journey with NIL has been very unorthodox from what you'll ever experience or hear from someone else. And here's why. First of all, I've done NIL pre-NIL before it was legalized. And this is why I was able to do it. When I was in high school, I was actually a quadruple sport athlete.
Mm,
I did Olympic weightlifting, CrossFit, Spartan racing, which is like obstacle course racing, and track and field. I'm doing all these sports, and this was in 2021 timeframe when there was an era where everyone had a fitness account. That was, do you remember that? That was a thing back then where,
absolutely.
let's say, Brian underscore fit or Sabrina underscore fit. Everyone had a fitness account.
Yes.
So I created a fitness account to showcase my journey doing all these sports, and that's actually how I got recruited. Not because of me reaching out to a coach or contacting them. I actually got recruited because my coach found my social media,
Mm,
which is very different. So because I got recruited differently, that also changed how I viewed NIL. And so I saw social media as a huge opportunity. I saw all these other influencers posting about supplements or different things. I'm like, I can do that too. Because I wasn't engaged in the college athlete space the same way someone normally would approach it. I
mm,
just fell into the college athlete space. I wasn't even thinking about being a college athlete, and it just happened for me. And so when I started doing the fitness account, I did a lot of Olympic weightlifting and traveling for it. So I would travel around the US and compete. And I realized being a junior in high school, I'm like, man, traveling and doing a sport I love is so expensive. And for anyone who has ever done a travel sport, you know what I'm talking about. It takes a lot of money to travel and compete and stay in hotels and pay for the clubs. And I didn't want to do that. I was like, I don't have this money for that. So I thought, well, what if I reach out to my local supplement store and have them sponsor me? Because that's what I see everyone online doing. Why can't I do that?
mm.
So I did exactly that. I reached out to my local supplement store. I said, hey, there's a Tennessee State Championship for Olympic weightlifting coming up. I have a really good shot of winning. I just need help physically getting there. I need some gas money, maybe some food, also for a hotel. They covered all of that. I ended up winning and becoming Tennessee State champion for Olympic weightlifting in 2022. And that was my first NIL deal. And so I was like, okay, cool. Like, I already had experience doing it when I got to college. Now I'm doing track and field. And this is this huge thing blowing up. Everyone's talking about NIL. I'm like, I've already been doing this. It's like, I didn't, luckily it did pass because if NIL wasn't a thing, I probably would have gotten in trouble because I just did not know. I thought that was already a thing.
Mm.
And so I'm looking at my teammates. I'm like, guys, we can make money. Why is no one getting excited about this? And something to know about this, Brian, there's different eras of the NIL stage. The first, if you were in college when NIL came out, you see NIL completely differently from 4 years to today in 2025, how athletes in college now see NIL. Here's why. When you were in, like, when NIL first came out, people just saw that, okay, maybe I get a free bagel or free coffee, like maybe a free product or two. Now people are going into the mindset of going to college. How do I maximize all 4 years to get the most money?
Mm.
NIL mindset has changed a lot since then. So because I went to college, no one else saw it. They saw like maybe I get a free bagel or whatever. And I saw how do I maximize my time in college, which was very front edge thinking at that time. I'm like, okay, I could pave my own path. I go to TikTok, I search up how to get an NIL deal. I searched that up on TikTok when NIL first came out in 2021. And you know what I found, Brian? Nothing. I found nothing. I was like, how is there no TikToks on this that explain how to do this? I thought that this is my modern Google search engine, but then it didn't have the answers. So I really just carved my own path, and here I am today with over 50 plus deals as a female track and field athlete.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. And I think, again, thank you for telling us the scope of how it's worked. But there were so many good things that you mentioned. The first that I really want to kind of like dissect here is you talked about the front edge thinking, right? Being ahead of the curve and starting to build this thing from the top down. Why, like, where did that spirit in you come from? Is there anything that you can relate that to? Is there anything that you can kind of take us back to of like how in the world this entrepreneurial thing got going within you?
Yeah, so my dad was and still is an entrepreneur. So the seeing it from my dad, I kind of already thought in that way. You know,
Mm,
you see your parent do something, it's like, okay, like they're making something happen for themselves, and that was just very naturally ingrained in me to, okay, how can I make this work? What can I do with what's around me? And so for me, I just thought it was a natural way of thinking. I thought more entrepreneurially than most others around me would, because I'm thinking, how can I solve this problem I have in the most efficient manner? But that's not what a lot of juniors in high schools are thinking of doing.
no, no. And I think the other thing that I'm reminded of as the last piece that you mentioned is it takes a team, right? It takes a village. Like, who are some of the people in your journey that have been influential in helping you with building this content and pushing for these deals and connecting with these people? Like, who are some of those folks out there?
Yeah, to be honest, when my journey first started, no one.
Hmm.
Because no one was out there doing it. No one was just sharing how to do it. There was no information about it. There's no one to look up to because it's a completely new path.
Right.
So I was really just figuring out everything for myself. And, the really only people I had to look up to were other content creators
Mm,
because that's the path I was going. I could share a bit more about the 4 different ways to get an NIL deal today, which explains more about the NIL landscape. But the way I was getting these deals and building my social media brand and my personal brand, I had to figure out for myself. It was really from a lot of self experimentation. And I've had different agents and seen how that worked. But really, a lot of the growth has come from myself determination to get that going. I've had incredible people who have helped me along the way. Like shout out to Amy, who is my publicist, who
hmm.
has helped me amplify my voice a lot more than I could have on my own.
Sure. Shout out Amy because we went back and forth so cohesively about preparing for this one. And I wanted to piggyback off of what you said that she is amazing and somebody who I had a pleasure of interacting with. But let's talk about this. Is I heard maybe, and if I'm saying too much, then forgive me, we can move somewhere else. But this event called Athlete Con with Sam Green. Talk to me a little bit more about something like this that I believe is coming up over the summer, being a part of that thing with Athlete Con and then with what Sam Green is doing as one of the other NIL educators in the space.
Yeah. First of all, love Sam Green, and I love what she's doing with Athlete Con. I've known Sam for quite a while since the beginning of the NIL era
Sure.
because crazy story how we met, but and Meta had this program called the Meta Empowerment Program
Mm,
where they would take a group of at first it was 30 female student athletes from all different sports and different divisions, and they would take them through this cohort and teach them how to build their NIL. And Sam was actually my coach. And so that's how I first met Sam, and she's helped me a lot since then. And seeing her grow has been incredible. To now AthleteCon, which is really one of this first of its kind where athletes can actually get deals on the spot at this conference.
sure. Sure. That's just fantastic. I know as this space, I mean, continues to grow, there are so many vessels now to get in front of folks. And it's enlightening to me. I was sitting in a meeting with Darian Harris, who's the assistant athletic director of NIL at Michigan State. And he and I were just talking about how the thing has blown up in the recent months and years. One of the things that I think is so unique about where you are in Nashville is that Nashville is becoming, and maybe it has been, so I'll give it credit where it's due, but another one of these content creating kind of paradises, right? Because of the music industry and because of a lot of the attention that it's been receiving. Talk to me about what being in Nashville has afforded you in terms of opportunity, meeting folks, getting in front of people, and having events that are right at the doorstep of Belmont and everything that you're working.
Yeah, for sure. I definitely feel very fortunate to be living in Nashville and going to school at Belmont in Nashville, especially since I know I am a transfer student, transfer from Austin Peay State University, and that was more in the outskirts. So it's an hour up north from Nashville. And so being here where it's definitely an up and coming city where the sports are growing, the music scene's growing, the art scene's growing, every scene is growing. I just see so much opportunity. And being someone who is a sport administration major, where I want to
Mm.
work in sports currently am, the sports scene is huge and everything just so nicely connects with each other. There's such a fine line of symbiotic relationship or just a lot of synergy between musicians, content creators, and athletes. When you're trying to grow a brand or build your social media and your presence, the journey of doing that for a musician or for an athlete are pretty similar. And so for me specifically, I go to a music school. So a lot of my peers are actually musicians or trying to be musicians or trying to grow their social media. The same with an athlete. They just have a different talent that they're trying to show.
Mm.
And so it's really cool to have this different perspective of what it's like to grow in the music scene versus what it's like to grow in the creator economy as an influencer or how it's like to grow versus as being an athlete. And being in here has allowed me to do a lot of opportunities. I love to volunteer at a lot of different sporting events. For example, FIFA Club World Cup is coming to Nashville. I get to do a cool opportunity like that because I just happen to live not too far away from the stadium.
Wow. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I know we're at a point where we're about to come up on time. But before we do, I wanted to ask you a little bit more just about where you're headed. Like, with all these things that have come your way, with all these things that you have pushed for and worked towards, what are some of the things that you would like to do, not only before leaving college, but then as you are embarking on a next step of career as well?
Yeah, for sure. So I also own my own company called NIL Roadmap, where
Mm.
the goal is to really help athletes build their social media and build their personal brands. So I'm working on a little something special that I hope to have really soon here in the summer. And if I could get that up and running before I graduate and just really start making an impact, that would be awesome. Because the reason why I created this company was because I kept getting lots of questions. How do I grow a personal brand? How do I get an NIL deal? How do I do this and that? And there's only so much of me and so much of my time I could share one on one that I realized by creating this company I could service and help a lot more people that way. And so trying to be that person who I wish I had when I was younger or when I first started in the NIL space is really what I'm trying to do. And so that's really where I'm heading to help out more athletes, more creators, and really make a difference in the NIL space.
Before we go, one more thought. Where does the heart to give back come from for you? To keep pushing the thing forward and to keep elevating the platform for those who are headed behind you?
Yeah, it really comes from a heart full of gratitude.
Hmm.
I I would not be where I am now without people who have done the same thing for me, giving back to those who have helped them. Especially with I know social media has done so much for me. I've seen firsthand what opportunities it's given me. It's blessed me to be able to be a college winner. That would not have happened without social media. As I mentioned before, it's a very odd way how I got here. But seeing the potential of how it could change someone else's life and knowing that I have a proven strategy to help them get there, why wouldn't you want to help someone else when you see something that can change their life?
Absolutely. Most certainly. Well, give it up, everybody, for Sabrina Oostburg. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being a part of the Rec Room episode 31. And do you have any parting thoughts before we go here?
No, but if you guys want to follow me on my socials, head over to my Instagram, Sabrina10_fit.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much and have a great morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you may be or whenever you're watching the show. And keep looking out for the Rec Room podcast. We're at episode 31, but we're just still moving along. Let's go.